How's it going, guys? It's Moose with Combat Sports Supply, and today we're taking a look at the Aerodynamics RPG-7 Replica. The Aerodynamics RPG-7 is a replica designed to fire those 40mm grenade shells out of the tip of the warhead. Stay tuned after, we'll do some firing demos. A little bit of backstory on the RPG-7. It was designed by Russia to be a rugged, low-cost anti-armor weapon. This guy was introduced in 1961, but it didn't see actual combat until the Vietnam era and Egypt. And because it being such a low-cost launcher, it's been used widely around the world, almost by 40 different countries. The RPG-7 kind of gives smaller forces a lot of bang for your buck. No pun intended. There's actually quite a bit to this. It's almost like a model kit. So there is some assembly required, but there are a couple different versions of it. Both require some assembly. This is what you get when you open the box. Bits and doodads here. You got a manual, of course. You got your rear trigger, trigger housing. You got the exhaust port. You got your front exhaust port with your irons and the explodey bit. So we're not gonna put it together here because that would just take too much time. But if you do want a build tutorial, let us know in the comments. We'll be sure to put a video out there. An interesting thing about the Arrowhead version, it's real wood, it's not plastic, and real metal. There's a version out there that has plastic for the wooden bits, but who would want that? You want the real version of it. Who wants a plastic RPG? And this thing it's a chonky boy. There's some heft to this, which for the replica and kind of milsim nerds, that's going to be absolutely fantastic. If only this left. Even down to the trigger group, that's steel. It does have real wood furniture on both the rear grip and the front grip, just kind of adding to that realism. So your manual is going to be more of an assembly guide, just kind of like the real thing. It's relatively simple. Of course, you've got how this launcher functions, as well as how to put it together. Now, looking at this thing butt to tip, near the back blast cone, that's all metal, and it does come with a little sling mount. Real wood furniture all the way back, and you got some steel clamps here. That rear grip, again, also real wood, and this is an optics mount, at least on the real ones. It is pretty proprietary, so you can't just mount anything to it. I'm not entirely sure if there's an Airsoft version, but that's what this is. Speaking of optics and sights, you do have your irons back here, your 100-meter adjustments, and they both are flip-ups. Moving on, you got your trigger group, real wood, metal, steel brackets again. Your safety for the trigger is right here, so and then all the way down won't fire. And if you look closely, you do have some authentic markings, and this part is steel. You also have a forward sling mount. Moving on to the warhead, there is a little screw back here that you're gonna have to remove. This just slides on out. Now the warhead is the only plastic part of this launcher. You can get replacements for this. The way it works, the front half of the warhead, or the grenade round, unscrews, and that's where your 40mm shell will go. The airsoft specs are going to depend solely on the type of shell that you use. The most common shell that you're going to find are these little 40mm shower shells. And these shower shells, they fire anywhere between 18 to 200, rounds of just pure hurt. Now the problem is the actual tip of the warhead. They all funnel out of that. So what I mean by that is, once that cone goes in, they're all forced to be condensed into this singular point. They may lose velocity. Once they reach that point, they all burst out of there like a glorified shotgun shell. You could use the 40 mic shells because they only have one tube, and they tend to, file out one by one. That might be a little better, but also, they do accept tag-in shells. Side note, I know a guy who knows a guy who knew his sister, who knew his brother, who did some things to the warhead to make it fire certain projectile? That's for another discussion. Calm down, ATF. I'm not talking about explosives. What I'm talking about are like tag-ins, Archangel rounds, the fun stuff. On the back side of the warhead, you got that little pin there. What that does is when you pull the trigger, it exposes this little rod, and that's what sets off the 40 mil shells. And now it's time for those firing demonstrations. All right, so this is the King Arms 120 round shower shell. This is the Airsoft Innovations 40 mic. So with these shots, we are using heavier weight BBs. You'll probably want to use 2.0s for these, maybe even 12s because they're grenade shells. So it's not as performing as good as it can be, but definitely winner goes to the 40 mic. This is the best thing for this. Final thoughts? For the everyday airsofter, this isn't quite practical. It's super cool for like a man cave or just kind of, to display or to have. This is more geared towards the milsim style events. There are no, actual anti-armor projectiles you can launch out of this. It does use those shower shells. But between the quality of the real wood and the metal, this does make for a really cool movie prop.
Don't be a fool!